Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura. He has had trouble all over the country. Most of this we can't talk about because it's the TV show, but now the harassment, the Homeland Security surveillance has gotten so bad that the governor wants to talk about this pattern here today, and we're very honored that he contacted us yesterday to give us this exclusive. I'm also play my own part in the show as a consultant. But the headline at Infowars.com by Kurt Nimmo, exclusive, Jesse Ventura talks with Alex Jones about government harassment of his TV show. And it is really intensifying. Governor, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Alex. Great to be here. And again, I come on the air with you, Alex, just to inform the public out there of exactly what's going on with our U.S. government, it seems.
Well, we appreciate you coming here first, sir.
Well, you know, ABC or NBC or none of them are going to air what I'm going to talk about. You can bet on that, and I know that this is the place where freedom speaks.
Have you had a chance to see the ABC News story that tries to make a joke about the harassment? It says Jesse Ventura brings his conspiracy theories to the Capitol.
No, I didn't look at it, but you know what they always say in the entertainment world, any publicity's good.
Absolutely, as long as they get your name right. Yeah. Governor, break down the latest or the history of this, wherever you'd like to start.
Well, you know, the latest is, of course, we're doing, it's the second season, so they told me that I could do an episode on the murder of John F. Kennedy, which to me is the cornerpost. That's the pillar of everything, the downfall, in my opinion, of our country in the last 50 years. Was because if you can murder the president and get away with it, what can't you get away with? And what we did, we wanted to take a finishing shot, very humble, of simply me standing in front of the eternal flame at Arlington National Cemetery. No talking, no anything. And bear in mind, Kevin Costner did it in JFK. They filmed him there. Well, we went to this character, this Ken Hawes, who's the U.S. Army Chief of Public Affairs, and he denied it and wouldn't let me do it. We did it anyway, though, Alex. We got the shot. In fact, the security people there were very helpful, and they even moved people out of the way. So obviously it didn't filter to the guy on the ground. This was happening in the upper echelon, trying to do it the correct way. But I went to my Congresswoman, Michelle Bachmann, immediately, and I said, what is this? And she got outraged. She said, you have First Amendment rights. She contacted, let me read what happened real quickly here. On July 22nd, 2010, we called back and asked to speak with Mr. Hawes. We were told that Mr. Hawes was in Chicago filming blah, blah, blah. Nevertheless, the gentleman we spoke with said that he had discussed the matter with Mr. Hawes and said they considered the topic of your particular episode inappropriate. After receiving Mr. Hawes' cell phone number, we called him in Chicago to find out why you were not allowed to film at Arlington National Cemetery. According to Mr. Hawes, Arlington National Cemetery has a policy of prohibiting stand-up filming. Additionally, Mr. Hawes stated that you were denied in part because of the nature of your television program. Specifically, he stated the topic of your particular episode, which alleges that the United States government was directly involved in the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, is contrary to the mission of the United States Army. Now, first of all, we don't say that in the episode. The episode isn't even finished. How would this guy know it, Alex? How would he know at all what position we were taking on this? We were merely investigating it. But where does he get off doing public policy and putting his opinion in on whether someone can or cannot be allowed to do something?
Governor, this is incredible. You have the Army trying to set the precedent at a national park of who can film and can't, and saying no one's allowed to when the news media is down there every week. I see it constantly. This is so dangerous. Stay there. We're going to come back from a quick break and pick your brain about some of the other things that have happened, but expand on this. But what a dangerous precedent where the government says you can't film at national parks unless we agree with your message. Since when is the Army running this country internally? Again, it's Friday, July 23rd, 2010. Governor Jesse Ventura joins us live from California. The last few days he was in D.C., part of a pattern of the government trying to block his First Amendment rights and selectively doing this for people's political or views, period, just on the country. Governor, for those who just joined us, recap what's happened, get more into what Congresswoman Bachmann is saying, and the Army trying to block you from a national park.
Well, what happened, we're doing a show on the murder of John F. Kennedy, and apparently the Army doesn't like it, and they're in charge of Arlington National Cemetery, and the gentleman's name is Ken Hawes, spelled Hawes. For those listeners out there that are as outraged as I am, I'll give you his phone number, 310-235-7621. Again, 310-235-7621. And I went to my Congresswoman, Michelle Bachmann, when they refused to let me film there, going through proper channels. And I'll read again. After receiving Mr. Hawes' cell phone number, we called him in Chicago to find out why you were not allowed to film at Arlington National Cemetery. According to Mr. Hawes, Arlington National Cemetery has a policy of prohibiting stand-up filming. That's not true because Kevin Costner got filmed there for the movie JFK with Oliver Stone. You see it in the film. Additionally, Mr. Hawes stated that you were denied in part because of the nature of your television program. Specifically, he stated, the topic of your particular episode, which alleges that the United States government was directly involved in the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, is contrary to the mission of the United States Army.
So now the Army bureaucrats are deciding what Americans can do inside the country.
Apparently, or they have control over what you can film. And I was a governor, a mayor. I'm a U.S. Navy Vietnam veteran. John Kennedy was a Navy man. I'll bet you if President Kennedy could speak out on this, he would be more than happy to let me film at his eternal flame.
Well, the issue is I've seen the news many times filmed there, and as you mentioned, it's in many films and documentaries, and the film JFK, which is saying it was a government operation. So they're clearly discriminating against you, and it just shows this atmosphere of government control where the government's involved in productions of movies, where the Army will try to block people even, interviewing people in the military if they don't.
You know what the bottom line is, Alex? These people are supposed to work for us. We pay their salaries. It's called paying your taxes. That's what irks me a great deal, is the fact that I pay this guy's salary, and yet he has the ability to deny me from getting photographed by whom I consider the greatest president in my lifetime at his eternal flame because he happens to not like the content of my program and where we're going, because some of us believe the Warren Commission's a crock of you-know-what, and we still seek the truth even today. By the way, on another subject, she wouldn't go on air with me. It's kind of the same subject, but I did sit down with Marina Oswald for 2.5 hours.
Wow, tell us about that.
Well, she wouldn't go on the air, but I think the most dynamic thing was this. She said this to me, Alex. She said, nobody cares anymore. And I tried to convince her that, yes, we do, because this is the cornerstone of corruption. If they can kill the president and get away with it, then they can do anything. And I said, it's important that history and we learn the truth, no matter how delayed it is, if indeed that we've been lied to. And she looked me right in the eye, and she said, would you sacrifice your children for the truth? And I looked at her and said, no. And she said, neither will I.
That means she's being threatened.
Well, it doesn't mean she's necessarily being threatened, but it means that certainly she feels that there is still a threat out there, that if maybe she spoke out and said what she really felt, that her children could come in some type of danger. At least that's, the way it was intimated to me, and that's what I took from it, was that she's still very protective of her children, and she's 69 years old now. She speaks pretty good English, and she's been married to her husband, Mr. Porter, since 2 years after the killing.
Of course, the wife of Lee Harvey Oswald, her husband clearly set up. It's now admitted that he was CIA at that air base in Japan, and that they had him infiltrate Russia and then brought him back. Of course, the film JFK covers all of that with historical accuracy. Governor, off air, you said, boy, the government sure is acting guilty, not just with this JFK thing, but
everything. Everything we look into, Alex, the government behaves like they're guilty and hiding something. Let me put it to you this way, and I won't say where I was, but I've now been tailed and put on by Homeland Security. I've been tailed by the Coast Guard, and we don't do anything illegal, Alex. Everything we do on the show is above board. We try to go through proper channels, and we simply, if something requires us to go on the water, we do it in international waters or waters that are supposed to be free to the public. But yet, we tried to hire a boat, and when they found out what we wanted to do, none of the fishermen would take us out. You know why? Because anybody on the coast now, their licenses fall under Homeland Security, and Homeland Security can pull their license if they don't like what they're doing. I like to refer to Homeland Security today as the Gestapo.
It's not about justice, it's not about agenda, it's not about mobilizing people, it's about dialing for corporate dollars. These two parties have sold the U.S. government and the American people to the highest bidders.